Hi, everybody. It's Ryan here with Pi Records, and I'm here with Steve and Rixie from the Stayawakes. How are you guys doing today?
Super good. Good to be here.
Good.
So, how you guys doing with the pandemic and getting together with the band and putting out some new music? I hear you have something new coming out.
Yeah, getting together is a real problem. The UK is currently in lockdown, so there's no gigs, and it's really specific what you can and can't do in terms of seeing people. So you can see one other person, and have an hour exercise outside of your home. So really, we are completely locked down. So any rehearsals or gigs just can't happen at the moment.
Oh boy. Um, so where in the UK are you located right now?
We're on the south coast of the UK. I live in Southsea, which is right on the south coast. And Steve, you're in Southampton.
Yeah, a little bit along the coast, not too far. I mean, UK is not a massive country, so about 15 miles. So yeah,
Okay.
we're relatively close.
So
Yeah,
tell
we're neighbours.
Oh, okay. So tell me a little bit about the history of the Stayawakes. How did you guys get together? And I know there's a lot of great music coming out. How did you guys wind up together?
Wow. Steve, you were a teenager, right, when we first met?
Yep.
Is that
2000.
correct?
Yeah.
So I was a little bit older. I was 21, so I knew better really. But I asked Steve if he'd do some music. We met the first day we met. We bonded over music and bands, and I was fairly sure that it was a good partnership straight away. So we were 21, so that was a few years ago, Ryan. But we got a band together called Day of the Fight, which was like an emo post-hardcore foursome, and that band really morphed into the Stayawakes today.
How would you describe the Stayawakes music at this point?
We get a lot of power pop references, which we're happy with. And a lot of people call it punk pop, power pop. It's just rock and roll, really. We used to say we're a rock band. So but broadly speaking, punk rock, we feel comfortable in that genre.
Good. Steven, what would you say are some of your biggest influences with inside the Stayawakes?
They come from all over, really. Very much, kind of going back to our first band. There are a number of influences, a lot of, pop punk, emo, a lot of the Fat Wreck bands, Epitaph. I think we were kind of more led by labels, record labels than bands per se, really. We kind of, see what a label's doing, start following all of the bands from there. A lot of bands from over in the States. But then, quite a lot of British bands as well. We're really influenced by a lot of the kind of 90s Brit pop, Brit rock kind of stuff. So, kind of all over, really. So, if it's got big, loud guitars, we probably like it.
So who are you working with right now to put your records out? I know you have some vinyl, you have some CDs. I really enjoyed the first record, and so did a lot of other people. Who are you working with right now to put out your music?
Right now, we're working with Engineer Records, and really excited to be putting the new record out with them. It's the first one we've done with them. We were on their compilation, Lamplight the Fire, Volume 3, which is an acoustic compilation. So we had a song on that. And we did the BMX track as well, and that was hooked up by Engineer. So it's been really, we've just been doing tons of stuff with them. So excited to get the full length out with those guys.
Excellent. Excellent. I like to,
The old album came out on a really small label.
but it's incredible. That album is incredible. Dogs and Cats Living Together. What was I know where I heard that phrase, but where did you guys get that phrase?
So the first film I saw at the cinema, my mum took me when I was age 4 to see Ghostbusters, and that film was just huge. First film I've got on VHS. So, and you know, it's one of my favorite lines from that, Bill Murray's line when they're up speaking to the mayor. Everyone remembers it, but yeah. So thanks for noticing. So I've had some people say they bought the record just because of that quote. So
Yeah, that's one of my favorites from the movie.
right.
So Stephen and Rixie, tell me what instruments you play and maybe some of the influences you had on your instruments, specifically players.
Sure. Steve, you want to take this one?
Where to start? Yeah, so I play the drums in the Stayawakes. That's kind of the only thing I do, really. Yeah, kind of influences. Yeah, I kind of started out playing drums when I was about 13 years old. Injured my leg playing football, had to give that up. There was a kid in my class who was a huge Nirvana fan. He lent me their CD. I think it was In Utero. Yeah, so I didn't start with Nevermind. Really enjoyed it and kind of thought, wow, this is really for me. Went out and bought a really cheap, beaten up drum set from a local drum shop, music shop, and yeah, started playing. I think at the time it was I was kind of borrowing CDs from the local library because they had quite a decent selection there. Anything from Nirvana. I remember having The Offspring. Smash was one I kind of learned from. Some early Green Day, although that was quite fast and technical when you're first starting out. So yeah, kind of right through to quite a few British bands, I guess. Manic Street Preachers. Silverchair from Australia. I remember kind of learning their debut album, Frog Stomp, was quite an influence on me in the early days. And then, yeah, kind of from then onwards, you kind of start to kind of carve your own style. And then you kind of start going back to the older John Bonham kind of guys, the technical guys, as it were. So, yeah, the older you get, the more you kind of... Yeah, so that's pretty much the story of my drumming career.
Cool.
So Rixie, I play guitar and sing, and first influence really, I remember thinking I could give that a go, was watching a band called Ash from Northern Ireland, who way back in like the 90s toured with Weezer over in the US, and I know they gained a lot of fans on that tour. So their guitarist is Tim Wheeler and singer-songwriter, and that was probably the biggest influence growing up for me. Since then, I sort of found like the Buzzcocks records, and there was obviously like an influence from like the Buzzcocks, that sort of early punk pop, UK punk pop, and just then discovered the Ramones. And I know Ryan, you're a big fan of All, so I thought I'd wear the All t-shirt today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so recently, like listening to All's records, and the guitar sounds and just the melodic guitar lines in their songs really influenced, particularly my songs on this new record. Was really listening to the work, the All sound, and I love all the stuff that comes out of the Blasting Room, right? There's a special sort of era of the Blasting Room for me, and it's sort of that late 90s. Everything that came out, I still love, from Armchair Martian or 30 Amp Fuse. I could go on, but that sound for me is just something really nostalgic about it, and just just something very special, really. Lemonheads were big. I know they did an album at the Blasting Room as well, but even going back to some of their early records, just that sort of melodic chord sequences and hooky sort of vocals, not necessarily the most complicated stuff, but just like super catchy, really.
So you mentioned that band Ash, and I'm an Ash fan, and I don't know many people, like when I mention them, not a lot of people know about them, but I was a big fan of that movie, A Life Less Ordinary. So I got the soundtrack, and that song, like for a whole summer, all I did was play that song over and over and
Yeah.
so
That song is incredible. It's a really important for me, actually. It was the first dance when I got married to my wife. It was our first dance, A Life Less Ordinary. So we, yeah.
That's awesome.
So, and during the bit where it sort of goes double time, we just had a massive like circle pit in the venue. Everyone in their suits doing this huge circle pit.
That's awesome.
It was hilarious.
So, what can we expect now? I know the first record is pop punk, really super catchy. You have this new one coming out. Tell me about how this is the same or differs from the first record.
It's the biggest difference. Sorry, go on, Steve.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I guess it's kind of similar in many ways, but it's kind of turned up a bit, I guess. Gone for bigger hooks, bigger choruses, yeah, louder guitars. It's, yeah, I think kind of tried to make things a bit louder, really. Sorry, Rixie, you were going to...
No, I was just going to say, we called it Pop Dreams. And basically, Pop Dreams came from a video show in France who played us, and they were called Pop Dreams. So we stole that from them. But yeah, we wanted to make a really loud pop album. So like Steve says, choruses were really important. So we wanted to streamline everything we did on the first record and just like amplify that. Some like bring the, we're not ashamed to throw in a few guitar solos or 7, that's cool with us. So there's some blazing guitar solos from our guitarist PJ on this record. And but I guess what I was going to say was the biggest difference is half these songs have a different singer. So from the first record, so Jimmy, our bass player, takes lead vocals on half the songs on this new album, and it gives it a whole different flavor, which is really exciting. I think for the people that are listening, there's like kind of 2 flavors on this album. I guess a little bit like the Posies or a band like Sloan, who share sort of songwriting and share singers.
I love that. I was in a band and we all sang our own songs that we wrote, and I thought that was what made us unique. So I could see the appeal of you guys doing that. It's in the early 2000s, there was a lot of bands switching on and off. Taking Back Sunday being one, that kind of who primarily writes the songs, or do you sing the songs you write, or is it a collaborative effort?
Pretty much is we sing the songs we write. So a lot of these songs on the new record, I had sort of written before we sort of started recording, if you like. And I know Jimmy wrote a lot of stuff for this record during the recording process. So there was a lot of writing and rewriting in pre-production for Jimmy. But the songs really for us come together in the rehearsal room. So we'll have a germ of an idea or a chorus, or maybe even just like a vocal melody and a few chords, and then we'll just throw it together in the rehearsal room, and everyone will just put forward ideas, and we'll just like kind of work at them until we're happy, really.
Awesome. Stephen, where is your studio preference your studio of choice when you go to record, and who are some of the guys that you worked with that really helped develop your sound?
Yeah, I think recently, and I think the reason that we're kind of so proud of the output of the new record is we went to a guy who's fairly local to us, a guy called Nick Bowen, who runs a studio called Key West. It's kind of in between, it's just along the coast from us. Yeah, it has a really, really cool studio down there. We went there and tracked the drums in there, just with the aim to kind of track everything else, guitars, vocals, all in our bass player Jimmy's basement, essentially. And yeah, it was really, really good process. Really, really cool guy to work with. Really easygoing, very encouraging, and the main thing for, I guess you ask any drummer, it's kind of being made to feel at ease and just kind of pumped and ready to play kind of thing. So, and yeah, it was just a really, really good, really good environment to work in, really. So yeah, but really it's kind of like we tend to do a lot of demos in our rehearsal space. That's always fun, and sometimes we kind of get some really good output from there too. So I mean, our Christmas single we put out late last year was recorded just at our rehearsal space. So yeah, goes to show you can do quite a bit in in not much time with a limited budget. So
There's a lot of pressure on the drummer to get it right the first time. Am I correct?
yeah, especially our latest album. It's yeah, I was the one that cost money because of having to pay for studio time. So yeah, his pressure's on. Got to get it done in 2 days, and then yeah, any more, and it's gonna time is money and all that. So.
Yeah.
Steve is like the ultimate pro in recording. Totally. We had it all done by lunchtime. He had the whole album,
Really?
tracked, all the drums done. Yeah. Day one. It's like,
So how long did it take
so
to
fast.
record the second album as opposed to the first album?
We took our time with this, and we were talking about this the other day and saying that it feels like it took forever because we did a lot of pre-production. We basically recorded the album twice because our pre-production was we wanted to know exactly what we were doing. So when we went in, we were super confident with everything we were doing. But it did take a lot of time. We spent a lot of time on getting the guitars right in Jimmy's basement, just and vocals. We spent a lot of time on. It's really important for us to get those things right. I mean, certainly on the first record, vocals were done really super quickly, and we think, well, maybe we could have improved on some of that. So this time around, we took our time, to get everything how we wanted it. You were saying about sort of influences in the studio. A little while ago, we got to spend some time with Kenneth Isak from Beeswax. He came over to a little studio, and we did lots of pre-production with him for the first record. I don't know if any of your listeners or subscribers know Beeswax from Norway. They sound a little bit like the Posies, a little bit like Dinosaur Jr. Super good band. I really recommend people checking them out. Anyway, the singer, so Ken is the singer-songwriter from Beeswax. And we spent about 4 or 5 days with him. And it was the most productive days I've sort of spent in the studio ever. He had, he taught us how to not be precious about songs and not be afraid of ripping them apart and then moving, choruses and moving bridges. And so we learned so much from him. And so that first album we did there's so much of his work in there. And I think that's what's, a lot of producers sort of don't get the credit, they deserve for what they sort of bring to the songs. So, but with this album, I think our confidence was there from the first one. It was, like you say, well received. So we had a lot of confidence going into it.
Great. How is when you get out and play, when you go on tour, what are some of the interesting places you've been and the responses you get? Feedback wise, crowd wise, show wise. Stephen, you want to start off?
Yeah, it's so varied for a band like us. Um, when we were kind of doing the touring cycle of our first album, uh, we were lucky enough to play a few first UK based festivals, and that was kind of a first for us. That's a real kind of, nobody tells you about what it's like to play a bigger festival until you do it. How well these things are run. We're used to playing, kind of small 50 capacity venues, kind of throughout the country. It's very kind of laid back. You kind of go and play, do your thing, and then hang out with the other bands and stuff. The festival is all kind of, you got to be there bang on time, and it's all kind of the setup and everything's so well organized, and you're out there and it's like, whoa, there are loads of people. Yeah, I think that experience for me personally was quite eye-opening and really kind of a new experience for us. But yeah, it's kind of we enjoy any kind of show really. The kind of smaller intimate ones where kind of playing to a handful of people in a on a rainy Tuesday night in somewhere up north is great fun. Sometimes there's the four of us, we've traveled there, we've made the effort to get there. It's good to be kind of hanging out with your friends, playing loud rock music, and yeah.
I would say the response we've had, around where we live, Southampton, there's a place called the Joiners Arms in Southampton, which I'm sure people listening to this will know about. Every gig I think we play at the Joiners Arms is really special. So that's one that we always look forward to playing. There's a lot of smaller venues in Portsmouth and Southsea where three of us live, and I think they're the special ones. I don't know if Steve you'd agree, where you're playing with. We've been playing for a little while in our hometowns, and we've built up a pretty decent fan base down here, and a lot of our friends come out. And that's really the sort of the special ones, I think. Tour is, like Steve says, it can be really hit and miss. There can be some special nights, and there can be some like gigs that you'd probably rather forget. But certainly the festivals were insane on the first tour. And that, I think, our release show we did in Southsea, we had no idea how, who would rock up, or who even had the album. And then that was like sold out. So that was a really special night. And, so, yeah.
So you would say that show in particular would be the moment where you're like, okay, this thing is working. And I think this is going to work out.
Yeah, I think that was the one. And there's a lot of people came out from like kind of really like well-established sort of punk bands who had done a lot of touring, and they came out to see us. So it was like the older generation had come and sort of given us like the nod and said, actually, you guys are doing all right. And with a lot of the the older bands from Portsmouth sort of said, come and play with us. And that was the most rewarding thing, is that I suppose whether an older generation or the peers, the bands that you've remember growing up with, say come out with us and play some gigs with us, and that happened in our hometown, which was really special. So then I think you're doing all right.
Awesome. Is there any special particular person that came up to you and said, hey, what you're doing is really interesting, and I like your take on this? Was there one person that you were kind of like, you said you're an All fan and an Ash fan?
Yeah.
The punk rock guys, was there one person that you're like, okay, now I have their approval, and
yeah, it's funny you should say that. So I don't know if you're aware of the band Honey Rider. They were on Damaged Goods Records in the UK, but they're out of San Diego, and their singer and songwriter Gary Strickland sort of became friendly with him, just like Facebook, like throwing a few messages back and forth. And he shared one of our videos. And I remember just writing to the guys, like I said, 90s me, like 17, 18-year-old me would just be freaking out right now. But the singer of Honey Rider shared one of our videos, and he got in touch and said he really likes, the songs. So that was, for me, Gary from Honey Rider. Go check out Honey Rider's records. Like I say, out of San Diego, but did a lot of recording in the UK. That was a big deal. And Ken from Beeswax, we got Stayawakes got a big thank you on the new Beeswax album. Again, just like when we grew up listening to these bands, or I'd certainly grew up listening to these bands, and that's kind of, sometimes that's like all you need to motivate you to keep playing, is when your sort of peers say, it's all right, that song's not too bad.
We're only remembering a bit of a fanboy moment last night in our old band, Day of the Fight. We were playing in the east coast of the UK, and the headlining band pulled out, and I can't remember the reason why now. But Walter Schreifels from Rival Schools Quicksand was in the area recording. I don't know why he was recording in the UK, but with his band Walking Concert at the time. So this was probably about 2007, 8 maybe. And the promoter was just like, well, Walter Schreifels is around with his band. Would you guys mind if they kind of went on last? And we're like, what? Yeah, go on then. And that just like, oh my God, we're hanging out with Walter Schreifels. Super nice guy, like really, really cool guy. Really enjoyed our band as well. And yeah, it was just great to hang out with him. And yeah, it's moments like that when they come around. They're kind of, few and far between, but it's like, whoa, that was fun. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Walter. So if I got to play a show with Youth of Today or Gorilla Biscuits or Quicksand, I would be out of my mind.
Yeah. So
right.
So there's a lot of punk rock, a lot of power pop coming out of the UK. Tell me how the community, the scene, kind of all fits together, and some of the bands that I'm sure play frequently with each other and share music and kind of support each other. Do you guys want to talk about that?
Certainly when we were coming up with our first band, Day of the Fight, there was a really good community and a network of DIY bands and smaller labels, and it was really productive. As always, people get older, move or start families, whatever, and there's less and less shows. But I think right now there's a sort of I guess in the last few years, kind of a grunge, revival. So a lot of noisy, indie rocky kind of bands coming out of cities like Brighton. And it's like in the South Coast, it's pretty furtive scene as well. Like loads of like bands like Creeper from Southampton, Musket. From Brighton, in our little neck of the woods in Southsea, there's a really positive DIY scene, and we've got a great studio called Southsea Sound, and they put on gigs, matinee gigs. So even if you do have like families or kids, it's all ages, and they do matinee shows. So you can bring your family if you have one, and so that's really positive. Trying to think of some bands that we can sort of throw your way. Horseflies from Southsea are great. Their singer Joe Watson did all our artwork for Pop Dreams, so do check them out. But yeah, there's always like a new band sort of cropping up. But we're lucky. We're really lucky.
Yeah, there's a really cool band we did a few shows with. We were touring our first record, The Capitol. They're from a place called Preston in kind of north of England. Really cool guys. They were ex Failsafe. I don't know if you may have heard of Failsafe, but yeah, really cool guys, great songwriters, awesome singer, guy called Seamus. Yeah, huge. Yeah, check them out. They've got an EP out recently, I think. So yeah, no, but it's a good scene.
Just going to say we were really lucky. A band called Harker from Brighton took us out on a few tours before we even had a record out. We met up with them. They're big fans of like Jesus and Mary Chain, and stuff like that. So we knew we'd get along really well. And yeah, we were lucky. So we just opened up for them on like 2 tours of the UK. And I think they're just about to release album number 2. So Harker from Brighton, name dropping like a boss tonight. But yeah, so thank you. Yeah, they gave us an opportunity to go out and tour and play our music in front of crowds that we wouldn't have played out in front of otherwise. So yeah, that was amazing.
That's great. That's so cool. I'm going to wrap it up, but I'd like to know if there's anything that you'd like to say to the fans and people that might be new to your band, the Stayawakes. Is there anything you'd like to announce or say or plug, your Facebook page, your website?
Just the go check out our new record, Pop Dreams. That's out now on CD, streaming services, and we're currently still taking pre-orders for Neon Pink LPs, which hopefully we'll be sending a batch over your way soon. Yeah, that's kind of the main thing at the moment, obviously, because of the pandemic. Kind of live shows and that kind of stuff is kind of on hold, but keep an eye on our Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. That's kind of where we kind of post all the updates, keep people up to date and things like that. So as soon as, we are getting out there again, you'll be first to know on all the social networks. So
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks so much. We've got some new singles coming out and a couple of videos before we wrap up sort of the Pop Dreams campaign. So there's one video to look forward to, which we filmed on the beach down on the south coast of the UK. So I hope you enjoy that one. And yeah, thanks to everyone who's sort of got a hold of a copy of the new album or listened or given it a review. We really appreciate every little all of it. It's been I guess this album already has been more successful than the first one, which is kind of what you'd hope, but we didn't know we're here. So thanks a lot for everyone at Pi as well. Keep up the videos, enjoying them.
Oh, thanks so much. I want to say thank you guys and have a great rest of your day, and please be safe.
Likewise, buddy.